All right, hello, welcome. The purpose of this video is just to kind of test our knowledge on when and if we should be using citations in our paper. When should we be giving credit to a source? And again, the purpose there is to avoid plagiarism. Hopefully by now you've already watched the plagiarism presentation, either the video or maybe just the slideshow presentation, and you have an idea of some of the consequences of plagiarism, why we want to avoid it, and how to avoid even inadvertent plagiarism. And so this much more brief presentation will kind of test that knowledge. Let's begin with the question. During that presentation, we talked about when you are citing theories and opinions, you give credit to whose theories there are. So the question is, if your thesis statement is required to be a theory or an opinion, why does it not need a citation? Think about that. I'll give you the answer in 3, 2, and 1. And the answer is, it's your theory or opinion. So, do that. Okay, let's take a look at an example and ask the question, does the following need a citation? Some have speculated that Shakespeare became quite wealthy during his career. If you type that in your paper, that Shakespeare became wealthy, would you cite a source for it? The answer is yes, it is a theory. Who is doing the speculation? You could also write that same sentence. Well, first of all, yes, let's give credit. The author's name is Thompson, and that was found on page 13 of that book. So if I read this sentence in your paper, I would immediately go to your works cited page at the end of your paper, and I would expect to see an entry, the title of a book, by an author named Thompson. That's the purpose of the works cited page, is to list those people you are citing, or those websites. You could also write it like this and put Thompson's name right into the sentence. Thompson has speculated that Shakespeare became quite wealthy during his career. You've given credit, you're covered. Note here that we're still giving the page number when we put the author's name into the sentence. How about this one? Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets, which are 14-line poems that follow a strict rhyme and meter. Do we need to cite that information, which you likely did not know before researching it? The answer is no. That's a fact. It's not going to change. It's not going to vary. You're going to find that in every source. There's no opinion here. So well done if you had that correct. Try another one. Christopher Marlowe was every bit the equal of Shakespeare at the time of his death. That sounds like an opinion if you're saying Marlowe is equal to Shakespeare. I might need to know more information. I don't know if you're talking about number of plays or talent. What was the answer here? Maybe, maybe not. This could be your conclusion after doing all of your research. So if this was your conclusion or your thesis, you would not cite it. However, if you were using it to try and prove something else, you might want to put an author's name with it to kind of lend it weight. According to this expert, Marlowe was equal to Shakespeare. William Shakespeare coined over 2,000 new words and phrases that are still used today. Would you need to cite that? This sounds like a statistic or a fact, but if you look at books or websites on Shakespeare, nearly every single one quotes a different number. There is some debate or dispute over the exact number of words and phrases that Shakespeare gave us. We know it's a lot. We know it's likely in the thousands. But because there's no consensus number, this really does depend on the source. So this is something that you should cite. According to this specific source, Shakespeare coined 2,000 new words and phrases. Last one. Henry was attracted to young Anne Boleyn, but never really loved her and was only using her to produce a male heir. Okay, let's take a look at that statement. When I read that statement, what stands out is never really loved her and was only using her. We don't have a diary for Henry VIII. We don't know his internal thoughts or what he was thinking. We don't know anyone who personally was alive at the time, obviously, and can tell us what he was thinking. So this becomes theory. There's lots of evidence to support this, but you should still cite this. And this is not a book. So I got this on the website England's Rulers. We put the names of websites or articles on websites in quotation marks. Then again, what if it is my theory or conclusion after reading all of my sources? How do I make it mine? Let's add qualifiers. Henry was most likely never really loved her. It was clear to many at the time that he was only using her to produce a male heir. So you're not stating it like a fact. You're not using just never. You're not saying it was obvious to everyone. You're changing it to many. This could become a thesis statement. And again, you wouldn't have to cite this if it was your conclusion. All right, let's summarize. You need to cite the following bits. Quotes from authors and experts. It's a really good idea to use quotation marks and to take their words right off the page. They have well-worded phrases. They have good, even if it's a single word that you really like and it's unique, embed it into your sentence. You did a good job of that in some of your other papers. You could do it here. Embed quotes and then cite. Again, opinions, theories, interpretations, speculations that are not yours. Facts that are not common knowledge. We do not cite math or scientific facts, dictionary information, statistics. That's like birth and death, dates of birth, dates of death, population numbers, things like that. Dates, information found in several sources and never varies. And then I'm going to add this. Don't cite quotes from historical figures. So if you're quoting something that Christopher Marlowe said, or Shakespeare wrote, or if you're quoting a speech from Queen Elizabeth on the eve of the battle with the Armada, we do not need to cite what historical people said because those quotes are going to show up in every single source that you read. Don't cite them. And then remember to be careful when writing about historical people's thoughts or feelings because we don't know them, we don't have interviews with them, we don't have, their writings. We need to be aware of when we're saying how someone felt or thought about something. It very likely could be an author's theory. Cite the author, and you're covered. Thanks for listening, everyone.